Adults of Reddit. What is something every teenager needs to know? It's okay to say no to anyone. Don't let anyone in your life guilt trip you into doing something you don't want to do or are uncomfortable with. And try to be aware of when you are guilt tripping others. I've watched people do it to others without realizing they are doing it, as it's a learned behavior, and to them, it's just what is done by everyone. Yeah, if your family guilt trips a lot, when you grow up it is just something you see as normal and you don't think about it when you do it. It's exactly as lame to not do something you want to do because it's too mainstream or popular as it is to do something only because it's cool and the cool kids are doing it. Also, some things seem mainstream to you just because you like that thing. So you have a lot of friends who do it. For example, I had a friend in high school who was very good at cello, and his parents are luthiers, violin makers. Music was his passion. But he felt the field would be too competitive because everyone does it. Well, in reality it wasn't everyone, but his social circle consisted of mostly musicians. So in college he studied environmental science and hated it. Fast forward, and he is now working in his parents' shop and learning the family trade of making violins. He still worries about competition in that field, but I think he will be successful and it's work that he enjoys. Just too bad he threw away that time and money for the college that he didn't really want to do anyway. Failing is okay. Failure and mistakes are where you are learning. The measure of whether someone has the potential to be a new friend of yours is not whether they like a bunch of things you like. It is entirely possible to become friends with people who like a ton of things you've never heard of, or even already decided you dislike. You are at a spot in life where a lot of your likes and dislikes are subject to change anyway. Biggest thing, making a new friend often takes time. Lots of time. Much longer than movies and shows make it look like. Find things to do, groups to join, city league sports to play, pandemic permitting, or after, and keep learning about the people you see repeatedly. Far too many early 20s people who report having no friends made a premature judgment that one or more prospective friends were off the list when it just needed a lot more time. Can confirm. My best friend and I have absolutely nothing in common interest-wise, but get along extremely well. My best friend and I have very similar interests, but not one of my other friends have anything in common. To add on this, especially to people still in school, don't diss or even ignore people from a different year, especially lower ones. There is this weird mentality that if they are lower in year they are not important. You may find very important friendships there. When you get to driving you need to realize that the laws of physics apply to you. They aren't out to get you, they are just indifferent. Slow the F down and don't horse around. You're driving a very heavy machine at speeds we did not evolve to deal with. Be safe. Also slow down on curves. Friction is your best friend until you reach the breaking point. To add to this, don't brake in curves. Slow down before the curve, then speed up out of the curve. I don't know the physics behind this, but my dad was a police officer and has done some pursuits. And I was told this by my driver's ed instructor who helps instruct police officers too. This is because braking takes away from overall tire grip. Very common fundamental in racing, but can also save your life on public roads where grip is already shitty, especially with stock or old tires. However, this doesn't mean you can't brake at all in a turn. You just have to be wary that there is a limited amount of grip for even the best tires. Advice is free, and if you respond to it with I know, then you're probably not gonna figure your problem out. I'm 17 and I needed to hear this one. Thanks. Train yourself to say you're right instead. I do this one all the time. 19 going on 20 in a few, and this also really opened my eyes. Thank you. Get a marketable skill. Unskilled labor sucks. You need something that's going to pay you. It doesn't have to be your life's passion, contrary to what my peers were saying at that age. But you do need to be able to tolerate it, and you don't need to go to a university and get a BA to get those skills. 2 years of welding school will get you a better return in investment than most undergrad degrees. My brother is a principal of a US high school. He had a representative of a pipe fitters union ask to put up an information table at their school last year, like the colleges and military recruiters do. The school board was against it. They wanted their students to aim higher. My brother successfully argued that this union rep was offering paid training that in a couple of years would lead to a solid mid-5-figure income in a career that, if you went for some of the more attractive certifications, like underwater work, you could be making 6 figures a couple years after that. The school board was against it. They wanted their students to aim higher. I hate that the US has devalued actual work. Trade jobs can be very stable and lucrative. True. And having trade options encouraged will greatly help some students who are more mechanically inclined than academically inclined. Just because you aren't great at school or prefer working with your hands doesn't mean you can't make good money or be successful. My dad has a high school education and makes more than my mom who has a PhD. Don't put off dealing with mental health issues. Developing unhealthy coping mechanisms for emotional issues will F you up big time down the road. If you have issues, deal with it head on, right away. It can take time, but start the work now. Also, save for retirement. You should open a Roth IRA yesterday. Sometimes it's not just a phase and your parents, while both very intelligent functional people, are fucking idiots for letting you suffer through 4 years of high school. Don't go to college for more than 2 years, unless you're gonna finish it. Don't let your bank act yo-yo around zero. Start to save something. At least have $1,000 for an emergency fund. Drinking a little is fine. Drinking at the bar every weekend or 3x/WK will ruin your health and your wallet. Don't drink and drive. But you are allowed to have fun and nice things sometimes. And sex is not wrong or immoral. You would be careful about it. And most social media is a poisonous toxic lying breakfast dumpster fire. Don't waste your time except for your immediate friend group. Yeah. Unfortunately both my parents are suffering from forms of depression same as me. My dad's been out of a job for more than half a decade and just sits around playing video games. While my mom has a lot of unresolved traumas from her dad being a sack of S and the fact that she's the breadwinner. In 8th grade I asked my mom if I could go see a therapist, but she said she learned to deal with her problems by herself, and so should I. 4 years later and nothing's improved. It's hard to think, and I've failed multiple assessments the past few weeks since I just been sleeping. I still feel like S, but at least I managed to submit my statistics project today. It may be 2 days past the deadline, but it's a start. It's never too late to just see a therapist. How to de-escalate difficult situations, and how to disagree with a teacher/someone in authority without sounding like a know-it-all or in a condescending manner. For example, if a teacher says X and you are certain you learned differently, recognize that there may be certain circumstances that you may not realize that changes something. Lead the disagreement with a saying like, "Excuse me, I may be wrong, but I thought/learned why." This kind of phrasing does not cause the other person to be on the defensive, which can allow gentle new instruction for you, or a graceful/face-saving correction for the teacher. A situation with differing opinions doesn't have to be confrontational. The general advice to not be an asshole will get you further in life than you would expect considering how easy it is. There's more to it than just do not be an asshole. It's also allowing a graceful exit for both parties. The same is true when encountering wild animals. True. And I did not mean to undermine your general point. What you're describing seems more like level 2. I'm always amazed people haven't mastered level 1. Especially when all it involves most of the time is not going out of your way to make yourself look better or someone else look worse. Great line about wild animals too. I have no idea if it works in practice, but it seems very logical. I didn't read your comment as undermining. I only wanted to elaborate. If you don't have a passion, learn new skills. You might find your passion or something you're good at. Good advice. Also, if you do have a passion, embrace it and don't be shy about it. Also, if your passion is something creative like art, design, woodworking, basically anything that has a visual aspect, be ready to expect unjust criticism. Accept constructive criticism. And most importantly, reject any sense of overconfidence in yourself. You think you are the best, you tend to not readily accept any criticism and start looking down on the work of others. Expect the criticism. Accept the constructive advice. Reject the propeller made out of poop. If the propeller is made out of poop, people will be none the wiser when it hits the fan. 2020. Hold yourself to your own standards. If you wouldn't let anyone treat your friends/family like trash, then don't do it yourself. If you feel learning is a positive thing, then learn on the daily. If you value work and security, then give yourself security through work. If you expect others to be intelligent and to care, then you should be intelligent and caring. Hold yourself accountable for how you want the world to be. Be a part of the world you want to live in. Is it okay to not hold others to my standards? As in, I don't let myself be a certain way, but I'll let my friends do it? I'm 21 and I kinda need this. Thanks. You can't control your friends, but you can control who you can be friends with. If you are assaulted on campus, notify the police, not campus security. To add to this, if you're experiencing harassment, bullying, or anything that isn't technically a matter for the police, don't stop reporting it to the school until somebody actually listens to you. The first person you talk to at the school may blow you off. Go to the next person up or another department. If they say there's nothing they can do, get them to put it in writing. People are often much more inclined to help if their actions, or lack thereof, are being recorded. No problem. Can I get a copy of that decision in writing? It's for my records and I'd like it available in case another party or department refers me back to you. It'll save me some time. Suddenly they can help you, or we'll get on the phone to the right people. What if they just say no? I would say, if they blow you off when you talk to them about it, send them a follow-up email restating your complaints and asking them to help you understand why the school can't help. Even if they won't respond, you still have a record that they were aware of your complaints and wouldn't help. People, employers, etc. will take advantage of your naivete. In many cases this will be illegal. Know your rights. So when the illegal happens you can recognize it. On top of that, stay on top of your finances and don't get into debt if you can avoid it. Living and lawyers both cost a lot of money, and exercising your rights is so much harder if you are financially dependent on the person taking advantage of you. Know also how debt can sometimes be good if it's used smart. That is a debt for something to improve your life which has reasonable risk-reward. I graduated 10 years ago from high school and none of those people are in my life now. So take your time being you and grow your self-esteem and talents now over wasting time trying to impress those pricks you won't even remember in a few months after graduation. Edit. It seems like there is some confusion as to my advice. I'm not saying drop your friends. Those are a very important aspect of life, especially in high school. What I'm saying is drop the politics and drama of your school. I know it feels like it is the whole world now, but if you let those who try to bring you down, who mock you, who try and pressure you will not be around forever. Worry about building yourself to being the best you that you can become. I still have contact with a few childhood friends to this day, just not really any I made in high school. But all those negative, drama craving, bullies, and those downbeats in general will not follow you. I graduated 2 years ago and already lost contact with all of them. Now I'm sad about possibly losing my friends after high school, because I love them like family. If you're that type there's no reason you couldn't maintain some friendships. But distance does really test relationships. I found that the only people from high school I still actively seek out are ones that played games with online, since we do that regardless of where everybody lives. This is what I love about being a gamer. Heck, half the time we are just hanging around chatting from 2 different places in the US. But still together. At this point, 16 years out of HS, 12 from college, I'm still close friends with 1 college friend, none from HS. Honestly, your teens are the perfect time to begin small on creating good habits that pay off in the long run. 1. Save and or invest 10% of any money you receive. 2. Create a habit of exercising, even just small exercises, every day. 3. Someone else said it, but it is worth repeating. Brush your teeth. 4. Figure out what you enjoy. Read and try a lot of different things. Go to camps, or shadow any jobs you think you might be interested in. Sometimes the job you think you'd enjoy, you find out you have no interest in at all. This will save you a lot of money. like studying pre-med and learning you hate healthcare. 5. This is a difficult one as a teen, but try to establish a decent sleeping habit, preferably one where you wake up early. I feel like I slept my teen years away. Regarding sleep, teens need more of it than adults, and school schedules disrupt their sleep. So don't blame yourself about feeling like you slept your teen years away. No amount of good habits would have changed the fact you needed the extra sleep, especially those morning hours. My god, I remember how bad some mornings were. It really felt like I was dying. I used to get home from school and pass out, and my parents would yell at me and ask what drugs I'm on. While you shouldn't believe those who say these gonna be the best years of your life, try to make the most of it, to enjoy the ride. Don't be ashamed of your hobbies and passions. Those who make fun of that can go F themselves. Every feeling you have deserves to be expressed in any constructive manner. Don't fear rejection from those you like/love. Tell them and come what may. Whenever people talk about how these are supposed to be my best years of my life, it makes me sad, because I can't see how this is my peak. Not having fun. I'm not experiencing anything, and time is passing. Don't worry. My teenage years were some of the worst years of my life, both at home and at school. Things got loads better into my 20s and 30s. 30s are frickin' awesome, man. You're old enough to no longer care what people think of you, and you're still young enough to have fun. I agree. Your body also starts telling you to take care of yourself, and if you listen, it's like being 20, but mostly sober and with more sleep. Learn to trust your gut when in strange situations. If something feels off/wrong, it probably is. Don't go along with something if it feels wrong. And don't feel bad for not going along. Do what's right for you. And don't belittle someone else for following their gut, even if it doesn't make sense to you. I mean, if someone wants to cannibalize someone, we are going to exchange words. Learn how to cook. It's way cheaper and usually faster than takeout, and does less damage to your health, provided you aren't just cooking out of a box all the time. And it tastes better once you learn to find good ingredients and can follow a recipe, or more importantly, when not to follow the recipe. The only time my husband's cooking flops is when he's directly following a recipe, and the recipe tells him to do something that he doesn't quite feel is right, but he does it anyway and follows the recipe directly. If you get enough practice, you can use the recipe as a starting point, and then customize it into something better. I'm a lifelong cook, ex-professional, and I got a lot better when I started following recipes the first few times I make something. It was quite a shift from winging it all these years. Of course, you gotta get tested recipes from good sources. My wife worked on the Tyler Florence show, and that guy does not give a F whether his recipes work or not. Many of them are just written down off the top of his head. The crap that gets good reviews on all recipes is unbelievable. Marcella Hazan and Serious Eats have the best tested recipes out there. Every time I try to improvise on a Marcella recipe, I end up with something inferior to the time I followed it to the letter. Also, Smitten Kitchen and In a Garden. Rather than buying a bunch of cookbooks, you can check them out at the library for free. Cook a couple recipes and see if you get good results and you can work with the vibe of the book. If so, buy the book. Or if you're cash strapped, just keep renewing that library loan. Cashiers don't care if you buy condoms. As a cashier, I only found it funny when a guy came to buy chocolate and a pack of condoms on Valentine's Day. The person you love at the 17th of May not be the person you love at 30. You change, they change. If you change together and are still on the same path, that's great, but allow yourselves to change. Allow them to change, and reassess whether you're simply together for loyalty or because you still really want a future together with who you both are now. Basically, be willing to let love go. It doesn't mean you didn't love them. You both changed, and it happens, and it's kinda sad, but will just open you up to be yourself. In addition, allow your love to change. The love you feel at 17 isn't the only love, and it's not necessarily the best love. Also, your love for someone doesn't increase as they do things for you, it increases as you do things for them. If you feel like you're falling out of love, consider whether you're expecting them to tether you, or whether you're holding fast to them. In addition, understand the difference between love Lust and infatuation. The last two will not lead you down their right path. Yes, I didn't bother dating anyone I knew I wouldn't want a relationship with. But that doesn't mean I didn't feel infatuated with people I knew were a bad choice for me. I've definitely had lust and infatuation. But my husband is my best friend. The person who puts up with my S and is humble enough that I put up with his S. Real love can even lack lust or have stretches of time between patches of lust. But one of the things it takes time to realize is that you don't have to feel lust to want to have sex with the person you love. Learn a second language. It's good for your brain. And it's a lot easier when you're young. Get active and fit. Make it a habit. This is one of the most important ways to stave off cognitive decline as you get older. Plus, it's great for managing mental health during the transition to adulthood. I've said this before, but it's important. When someone says you can't do something in life, it means they can't do it. Not that you can't. I'll never understand people that S on anyone's desires, goals, or aspirations. Start trying to save money now. You will definitely thank yourself later on. Yes, even if you don't know yet what you're saving for. Could be a down PMT on a car. Could be for a computer. For a move to a new town for a better job. Deposits on an apartment and utilities. Car repairs. Veterinary visits for a pet. A new bed/mattress. Life happens, and if you have a savings, it makes it easier. Most of your friends are the product of geographic convenience. Just because you grew up being friends with a neighbor or a fellow student doesn't mean you owe them your undying loyalty when they start treating you like shit. Yes, it's very possible that you outgrow your childhood friends or just grow in different directions. At the same time, teens should understand that once your school days are over, high school or college, finding and keeping friends takes so much more effort because you don't automatically see them every day. I don't know. Some of the best friends I have now I made because we work together every day, lol. One of them is from an old job I had 4 years ago. We remained friends after we both quit. So I mean, it really just depends. Yes, workplaces are the closest equivalent. I have one friend today who used to be one of my clients. We haven't worked together since 2009 or so. The thing with workplace friendship is that you gotta tread carefully. Getting S-faced with someone you worked with 4 years ago equals getting S-faced with someone you currently work with equals you gotta trust people.